Alright, so in this next video I'm going to show you about using some templates and things like that. So I think in the first video I showed about this one, having this to do different shapes to be able to go in, having all kinds of different curves is important. Using like a real thin plastic also works good. They have these cutting boards that you can get that are real thin plastic, and that you can make all kinds of different pieces like that out of it. So what I'm going to do is on this, this is probably not the best piece to use, it's a little folded up, but I'm taking my X-Acto knife, I'm going to cut it out. This is just loosening up there. And if I was trying to turn this into a job or something, I probably would take more time on this, but this is pretty much for a demo, so. Just showing you the basic idea here. So this can be a little monotonous, so usually I'm playing music when I do this. Makes it not quite so boring. You want to save all these little pieces too, because you might need them. And there's a couple of ways of going about doing this. Depends on how you want it to show. So if you want it to be all inside of this, then you'll take this to the board first, and then you'd have to get these kind of stuck on there with some tape, so it gets a little more complicated that way. And I just lost the little nose piece. That's great. That's why you don't do this out in the wind. Not sure where that went. Probably won't be able to find that. Let's hold on to those a little better. Maybe I could see it laying here somewhere. Nope. Alright. So we can go. Let me see, how could we do this? Sometimes you gotta think about it and doing it in layers too. So let me see here. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make these areas dark. So we're gonna spray this first, then we'll pull this out and set this over it, and then spray around here, and we won't need those pieces then. All right, so that's one thing that we'll do. We also have this. I'll show you that, and I'll show you some stuff with this. So the templates, they can get a little tricky, so you got to think about what you're doing. Oh, it's sitting funny. There we go. So we're going to put this on here. Let's go up a little higher so we... Alright, so we've got that on there now. So then we want to go ahead and cut this. I did not cut it quite deep enough. So you could see, you could actually do this with a spray can. So I figured as kind of an assignment, maybe, and I'll show you that real quick too. I got a little bit of spray paint here. And you could kind of get a little bit of practice doing something like this, just with a cheap spray can of paint, just to kind of get a feel for how templates work, and give you something to do if you're bored. Okay, so now we're going to take this. That right there is probably not going to work real well, but oh well. So we'll put this, where was this at? Right about there. Okay. So So very simple and crude, but it is on there. And something you can keep in mind is you can kind of see here, the closer in your template, the crisper the line. The further away, the more it fades. So if you take something like this, you go in and you put it up close, right? It's nice and crisp. But if you pull it back, that's where something a little stiffer than this, like a harder piece of plastic, could be a little better. So you can see now it's more of a faded line. So you can use that to kind of figure out how you want to do stuff. So this is how you wind up doing realistic flames, is you come in and you kind of put little shapes like this random. Got messed up there. And do those kinds of things until you get, and then you come in and do some free-handed stuff too, and get it shaped like that. Let's see here. The other thing I wanted to show you was with this. So you're gonna come in. Let's see here. I like to do this more with the touch-up gun, more so than an airbrush. I'm making a mess of this. All right, and then you put it in the middle. Oh, that's great. My paper's blowing off the board. Like I said, I would rather do this with the other. Anyways, you can see that's where you start getting the fish scale look right there. All right, so let's see here. Let me see if I can get this stuck back on there. And then I'm going to show you one more thing that you can do to kind of make this turn out a little better. Add some little things to it. This is where you have to have everything planned out pretty well when you're doing this kind of stuff. In order to do the next thing I'm going to show you, you got to have a game plan already there for how you want it to sort of look, so you can kind of set yourself up to succeed. And this will just show you real quick here. Probably be better to look at a crack first. This doesn't look like quite like a crack like I wanted it to. Anyways, and we're also on a piece of paper, so that's not helping matters. So it goes a little different on something that's a little slicker. But anyway, just wanted to kind of show you some things you can do. That looks like a tree and not a crack. But anyways, you can go, and when you have those kind of lines, you can come in, and let's say a better brush would help. There we go. I'm getting thinner lines here. You can come in and add details to it. But I think you get the idea. This brush has had it. So anyways, I would go a lot finer, and I would make it not look like an upside down tree. But you can go in, and even though this is kind of fuzzy and stuff, you can go in and start adding little details with brushes and all kinds of things. You can get in tighter with your airbrush. You can use other colors, come in, do more shading. You come in here, do maybe some purple, or use a little bit of you could have used a little red there first, and done that, and then when you went over it with the blue, you would have kind of a darker purple look to it. So you can do all kinds of little things like that to make your piece look better and better. So you just got to keep practicing and trying. Like I said, get in a comfortable spot. I'm sitting on a cooler, so I am quite uncomfortable right now. I would rather be in a nice comfy chair, have this a little higher up, a little bit more of an angle, things like that. Sometimes though, if you're working on motorcycle pieces or things like that, you can't always move it the way you want to, so you can't always be comfortable. But do the best you can to try to be comfortable. So let me show you here with the spray can. Okay, so you can see, just with a spray can, you can play around and do a lot of stuff. You could go in and kind of practice with this kind of stuff.